Welcome to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show, a real estate investment program. Listen and learn how to use real estate to build wealth and passive income streams for you and your family. We bring you experts every day to discuss and answer your questions on everything from single-family homes all the way up to 600-plus unit apartment complexes. And now, the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show.
Welcome to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. My name's Mike Harrison. It's my privilege to be joining you today. And as always, we're working on your financial freedom. I'm a real estate investor in both single-family homes and apartment communities. I began my investment path 11 years ago. I became a member of Lifestyles Unlimited 9 short years ago. Wow, 9. It was 2013. I guess that is 9 years ago. It's 2022 already. Time goes by quickly, my friends. Let me say this. My life has been more satisfying and freer ever since I embarked on this investment path, on this real estate investment path. I must admit I've had a lot of help along the way. I anticipate I will continue to get a lot of help. I'm not afraid to ask for help. We're always evolving. We're always changing. As soon as you think you're the perfect investor, the market will teach you a lesson. Stay on top of it, my friends. But I have had a lot of help along the way, and real estate is a team sport, and we help each other. Today's show is going to be a fun show. Not as near as serious as some shows I've done in the past, but I do always hope to get you thinking, looking at life in a different light. However, either next week or the week after, I'm not exactly sure. I am working on a show that I want to present. I'm going to recap multifamily investing in 2021 and provide an outlook for 2022. I'm gathering a lot of information from a lot of sources. If you're a multifamily investor or considering becoming a multifamily investor, this is not a show you want to miss. Again, it's either next week or the week after. I don't know just yet, but I want to paint a picture based on personal experience and research. But let me say this, friends. Things are accelerating at a rapid pace in this investment space, in the multifamily investment space. There's a lot of people out there right now that are trying to buy properties, and there's more people trying to buy than sell. It is a rapid development. It's been a quick ride the last few years, but it's on overdrive right now, and there's a lot of reasons for that, and we'll share those when I do the show. Now, today's show is we're going to dig into some self-development, inspirational quotes. Naturally, in light of financial freedom and real estate investing and the path to financial freedom, I love doing these shows. I eat these kind of things up. I absolutely do. I love a great quote because a great quote it's not just the context of what's being said. You have to stop and consider it and think about it. And the best ones go really deep and they have a lot of meaning. We have some of those here at Lifestyles Unlimited as well that we call them Dell-isms, and Dell's created them over 30 years of investing in real estate. There are certain trends and certain truths that just reveal themselves. We have one that we share on the radio show every single time we do the show, whether it's me or another host. I think you know it. I think you know what it is. If you heard this show before, let's say it together. It's not the money, it's the lifestyle. Now, that's not just a saying. That is a life philosophy. Financial wealth is not the end game. If you're just in it to make money, that's not what it's about. Financial wealth is nothing more than the means to create a lifestyle of freedom, a lifestyle of confidence, a lifestyle of choice, a life free of deadlines, burdens, obligations, servitude, a life we can share with our family, a life of worthwhile endeavors, of having fun. Yes, absolutely having fun. I'm going to Palm Springs next week. We're going to have fun. Celebration. That's the end game. We realize it takes a lot of money to buy the end game. Hence the reason behind real estate investment. It's not about real estate. It's about buying your life back. That's why we take real estate investment so seriously. That's why we're constantly eating it up, constantly staying educated, constantly networking with like-minded individuals, creating the best practices, honing those best practices, adapting the best practices. Look, if all that mattered, if we were just paid to invest in real estate, if it was a job, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, we wouldn't be nearly as effective as investors as we are. It's about life. Let me put it this way. And this is kind of a silly analogy, but it'll drive the point home. If I told you that every time you played a game of checkers and every time you won, and yeah, I like the Caribbean, so let's go with that. I'll give you a free vacation for you and your family, fully paid for, to the Caribbean. All you have to do is win. How serious would you become in regard to the game of checkers? You would become deadly serious, dedicated to the strategy of checkers gameplay, hours upon hours of study of the game of checkers. You would network with other great checker champions for the most up-to-date, effective strategies. Well, my friends, that's how we look at real estate investment. Because buying our life back means everything. So when we say it's not the money, it's the lifestyle, that's exactly right. That's everything in a nutshell. Del Walmsley didn't wake up and go, I'm going to be the greatest real estate investor in the United States of America. No. He said, I am tired of the grind, tired of breaking my back, tired of getting burned in the stock market. I want to be financially free and buy my life back. That's how he found real estate. So it's the other way around. My name is Mike Harrison. We're going to share some inspirational quotes, what they mean, how that pertains to real estate. This is the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. We'll be right back after a short break. Welcome back to the show. I want to thank you for tuning in. My name is Mike Harrison. I look at what's important in life. Essentially, I imagine a wheel in my mind, right? My mind's eye. A wheel with 6 spokes. And all the spokes need to be equal, tensioned equal, so that the wheel will be balanced and it will roll properly. It won't have a wobble to it. What are those 6 spokes? Peace, love, joy, health, wealth, and happiness. All of these are equal in importance to have a satisfied lifestyle. None are independent of one another, however. They're all tied together. For instance, we know financial freedom, wealth, that with financial freedom, we can then finance other expenses. Look at health, for example. Health is important. Maybe the most important, if you had to pick one. I always say they're all balanced, and I can debate myself and go back and forth. But without good health, makes things difficult. But eating healthy is expensive. McDonald's is cheap. Eating healthy is expensive. Health care continues to become more expensive. Health can affect peace. Think about it. If you're worried about your health because you have conditions or issues, or worse, you're concerned about a loved one that has health issues, how much peace do you have in your life? Not a lot. The strongest woman I know, my mom, she suffered 2 strokes, thankfully has made full recoveries. A major treatment for stroke is to take blood thinners. She also suffers from ulcers. A primary treatment for ulcers is to not take blood thinners, to have thicker blood. Neither of those combined is a prescription for peace in your life. She's always having to tinker with that, or her iron levels in her blood. It fluctuates, but it takes away from her peace, unfortunately. But she's a fighter, and she's doing just fine. So, well-balanced life, peace, love, joy, health, wealth, and happiness, all of these principles are tied to one another in some way. All right. Continuing on with some motivational thoughts, some inspirational quotes. I told you we had some of those ourselves here at Lifestyles Unlimited. I'm not sharing the Dellisms. We've had that show, and as a member, you'll see that. You can join and network with us, and you'll see how true they are. I do want to throw out my top 3, my favorite ones, but I'm not going to go into the true meaning of those. I'm going to get into some others that I found at a inspirational website. But I want to throw these 3 out there, and maybe you can think about how they compare to your 3 favorite Dellisms and what they really mean. But my all-time favorite, more is not better. Better is better. Think about that one a little bit. Second one, you don't own stuff. Stuff owns you. That's a great one. Lastly, not everyone wants to be a millionaire. That's for sure. But I'm not going to highlight onto those. I'm going to go into 8 quotes I found from a website called Mindset Therapy. Quote number 1, better to jump and make a mistake than to sit there too frightened to make a move. I like it. I love this. It's really true. When I was young, I knew a very successful business friend of mine and sort of a mentor in life at that age. And he told me one time, he said that I would never grow if I didn't constantly leave my comfort zone. And that stuck with me. Now, I didn't make any drastic changes. I moved slow, but I think that saying was there with me when I left the 401k, feed the 401k, feed the IRA, do without, scrimp, save world of trying to save for retirement, found Lifestyles Unlimited, began investing in real estate assets, and began creating a cash flow, began creating a different way of life. So I think that saying was with me. So he said it a different way. He just said, you got to get out of your comfort zone if you're going to grow. And that helped me. Now, this goes so much further because I have emails from people that still have not deployed capital. They still haven't put it into real estate. They're just waiting for the perfect deal. And the fear of losing money is stronger than the drive to expand that money, the drive to create cash flow, the drive to get into a different asset, the drive to learn something new. It's the old paralysis by analysis. I'll say this, real estate's very forgiving and mistakes still perform, and don't sit on the sidelines. Don't do it. You'll regret it later. Time goes by so quick. Now, for the second one, most people are too lazy to be rich. They may say they want to be, but they don't be. So again, this isn't Lifestyles Unlimited. Del Walmsley actually says that much better. Del says it way better. And I mentioned it earlier. Not everyone wants to be a millionaire. I remember the first time I heard that was in my 2-day class in 2013. And I'm sitting there and Del said, not everyone wants to be a millionaire. I thought to myself, are you out of your mind? That's why I'm here at this class. But even folks in that class took the class and still didn't take action. But that statement's very true. Very true. Think about it. In the last 6 months, this is just me. I'm sure everybody has their own things that they're going through. I've done 2 refinances. I've attempted a third, but the appraisal was not where it needed to be. Sometimes that happens. And so it wasn't, I guess the deal wasn't where I wanted it to be. So I held off on that particular appraisal on that rental property. Refis aren't easy. I mean, if you've done a refi, they're easy in such that there's a lot of paperwork involved. They need this, they need that from that bank account. And it's unbelievable. I sold a rental property. Again, there's a lot to that. You got to get the property cleaned up, get the resident out, do what you have to do, get it on the market, sell it. I didn't sell it to another investor. The property had appreciated as such, so I sold it on the open market. There's a lot to that takes time. I've researched well over 20 plus multifamily opportunities. I've invested in 5 just here in the recent few months. I have a few more coming up. I've got 3 more multifamily investments that I know of that'll hit here in the next few weeks. Refinancing my personal home, put a roof on a rent house, rehabbed a home for the second time. I've owned it for 7 years. Yeah, not everyone wants to be a millionaire. It's a lot of work. Continued the education, the curriculum, kids, life. So keep that in mind, my friends. It takes work and it takes drive. My name's Mike Harrison. We'll be right back after a short break. Welcome back to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. My name's Mike Harrison, and as always, we're working on your financial freedom. Today, I'm reviewing some inspirational quotes from a website I found called Mindset Therapy. I enjoy these. They're always a lot of fun. I try to look at them in regard to real estate investing and how they affect that. And again, we invest in real estate to create that wealth portion of peace, love, joy, health, wealth, and happiness. With those 6 components, if you balance them, that to me is a balanced lifestyle. If all of those components are strong in your life, you've got to work on all 6 of them. Each one can affect the other, but the wealth portion of that, hence the real estate investing, hence buying the assets, hence creating the cash flow. Again, that financial freedom gives you the ability of time, finances, resources to work on those other quotients, the health side of it, the peace side of it, the love side of it, the joy side of it. So, inspirational quotes. We did 2 in the last segment. If you missed it, you may want to go back to your favorite podcast app. You can find the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show there, or you can find us at the website, lifestylesunlimited.com, or you can find us on the YouTube channel. Here's one. You can't change habits unless you want to. That's exactly right. I mean, a habit's just a way of life. If you're doing it every day, you may, in the back of your mind, you may say, yep, eating a bag of chips every day is not the best thing for me. At some point, you're going to have to say, I must make the change. Let's keep this in light of real estate investing. I mean, we can talk about health, relationships, jobs. It's natural for people to get in a comfort zone and then never make a change. For me, that comfort zone was the corporate lifestyle. You've got the job, right? You've got the Monday through Friday and sometimes on Saturdays, and it was predictable, right? We knew what we had to do. We knew what was required. What was predictable was the fact that you set your 401k up and they just pull money out each and every month. It's easier to pretend that you're not going to wake up and be 60 and you're not going to have that giant bag of money that they've told you that you're going to have because you're sacrificing. You're putting 20% of your check in, you're putting your bonuses in there, and you're feeding it so that you can have that bag of money and have that lifestyle. It's easier to just not think about that. And most people don't. Literally, most people won't make the change. I questioned myself at the time when I was making the change. I think many of my friends thought I was crazy. Many of my peers thought I was crazy. I'll tell you what was happening when I was at my corporate job. This is interesting. And I was buying houses, and I began buying several. they have to call during the mortgage process. They call the human resources person to verify employment. And they tell them this is for a mortgage. And if I'm doing a refi or if I'm purchasing a rental property, and this happened, probably just under a dozen times in a short amount of time. I know the HR people, even though they're not supposed to, are sharing this information with my boss because he's telling me, like, why are these mortgage people always calling? I don't think he understood it. And then I told him, well, I'm investing in real estate. And then naturally he's thinking, well, my gosh, you're taking all this time away from the corporate job to invest in real estate, which just isn't true because he's uninformed. I spent literally about an hour a month on managing my real estate portfolio, and I did it on every third Saturday morning. Clockwork from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. is when I took care of my real estate business every third Saturday, about an hour a month. Look, don't get me wrong, there's an occasional phone call, hey, we need to do this. It did not take away from my corporate job. But your boss starts looking at you a little funny. So at some point, you just have to say, hey, how bad do you want it? So you can't change habits unless you want to. All right, continuing on, here's another one. It's very similar to the first one. Again, this is from a website called Mindset Therapy. Don't let bad habits get a foot in the door. So this is pretty straightforward. And what they're saying is don't develop bad habits. Now, what are bad habits around real estate investment? Well, it's getting lazy, and sometimes that's easy to do. You can have the 5 or 6 or 7 rental properties, and you're getting paid the $400 or $500 or many times more on each of those. And then you do the analysis and you bake in your equity capture and how much equity you have in the home and how much mortgage pay down you have in the home. And you start realizing you're making a sub 10% return on those properties. It might feel good because you've got the cash coming in each and every month. However, if you're earning 7 or 8% on what's starting to look like $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 in equity, you're letting bad habits get in the door because you went into this endeavor to grow and create that cash flow snowball, yet you've now, your cash flow is such an extent that you're enjoying it and you're sitting back. No, you can't let that happen to you. You've got to churn these assets. You've got to constantly evaluate these assets. You need to know what your returns are, and you need to have the willpower that when you reach that 6 or 7 or 8% return on an investment and you have tens of thousands of dollars in equity, what's time to take action? It's time to refinance. It's time to sell that property. Or you can get lazy and just not continue on. At some point, you've got to almost step backward to take 2 or 3 steps further. If you find yourself, I get a lot of email from people that may have 10 paid for houses, but they just don't want to go through the process of the refinance or selling. Or how about this? 1031 that into a larger apartment complex. Your life in the short term will be busier, but in the long term, a year later, 2 years later, 3 years later, you'll be so much better. So don't let bad habits get a foot in the door. Continue to reinvest. Keep in mind what we do today bears fruit 3 years down the road, 5 years down the road, 7 years down the road. If you take a few years off, let's say you're just comfortable and you're not reinvesting and creating that cash flow snowball and building it up for 3 years, well, 5 years is going to feel a lot different because those assets are going to have sold and your cash flow will begin to decrease. So again, that's an idea of not letting bad habits get a foot in the door. There's a lot of you listening to me right now, and you've never invested in real estate. Although you listen to this show, and you have for years. Again, I have the emails. Mike, I've been a member for 7 years, or I've always wanted to invest in real estate for 7 years. You've never taken that additional step to make the move. Well, friends, now is the time. What we're seeing in the market, the growth in the market, the fact that there is so much pressure on housing that rents are increasing. We're in a space right now where cap rates are actually getting compressed while interest rates are going up. And as you're valuing an apartment community, the backside of this, rarely do we talk about appreciation, but the backside of this is starting to look pretty strong. So the decisions you're making today are going to bear fruit down the road, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years. My name is Mike Harrison. We'll be right back. This is the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. Welcome back to the show. I appreciate you tuning in. My name is Mike Harrison. If you have any questions on how to get started, how to begin investing in real estate, please send me an email, askmike@luinc.com, askmike@luinc.com. If you'd like to see what Lifestyles Unlimited is all about, how we make money 5 ways on single-family properties and 6 ways on multifamily properties, I invite you to attend our free workshop. That's LifestylesUnlimitedWorkshop.com, LifestylesUnlimitedWorkshop.com. You can tune in from the comfort of your own home. It is interactive. You're not watching a video. It is a presentation. You can ask questions. Sit in with your spouse, your best friend, a peer. Come check us out. If you've ever thought about investing in real estate, that's the workshop to be in. We have members in all 50 states. We've been an organization for over 30 years. This is what we do. Lifestyles Unlimited is a real estate educational and mentoring group. Now, if you want to join, we have a promo right now. GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. Promo code SAVEBIG, SAVEBIG. If you use that promo code, all capital letters, the price will drop to only $297 for 2 years of the Financial Freedom Program. Retail is typically $740 a year. That's a deal, my friends. That $297 is nothing for 2 years of the education that you will have access to on investing in real estate, the ability to network with others, the ability to become an effective real estate investor, the ability to begin buying your life back one chunk at a time. That's what we teach. All right, we're having fun today. We're digging into some inspirational quotes that I found on a website called Mindset Therapy. And if you missed it, I love a good quote because it means so much more than just the context of the sentence. There's a lot deeper meaning within that quote. Often it gets us thinking, and I always try to wrap these around in light as a real estate investor. So here's one. Never assume you've got enough time. You haven't. Excellent. What did the Latin phrase, carpe diem, seize the day, that comes to mind? When we say now's the time to invest in real estate, it is. Yesterday was the time to invest in real estate as well. If you do the math, it either makes sense or it doesn't. And if it makes sense, you've got to deploy those funds. Again, what those funds do, how they reward you 3 years down the road, 5 years down the road, 7 years down the road. Real estate investment is a game that is tied to time, and time maximizes that. So never assume you've got enough time. You haven't. Now, I want to say this. Finances are one thing. Family and friends are way more valuable. My wife, Amy, and I have been basically Spartans regarding building this investment portfolio and doing without for many years. We would do without. We wouldn't go out to eat. We wouldn't go see the concerts. We took some great vacations, but it was every other year. You're taking the great vacation every other year, and you're kind of taking the, I'm not going to say not so great. They're all great. We love them all, but you're not maybe going to the destination that you really wanted to save money, right? And we weren't financing the 401k or the IRA. We're financing the cash flow snowball. Again, that's what it's all about. Well, friends, times are starting to change. We don't have to be financial Spartans anymore. We're going to the concerts. We're going to see the Fighting Texas Aggies play football down at Kyle Field. It's not cheap, but we've realized memories last forever. Dollars, financial, that's only a means. That's only a means, my friends. But because of decisions we made 8 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, that's blessing. It's coming back to bless you. That's the idea. So when we say get into real estate, now's the time. Never assume you've got enough time. You haven't. And that's the entire reason behind Lifestyles Unlimited. It's not the money. It's the lifestyle. All right, continuing on. If you don't learn, you can't change. And if you aren't changing, what's the point here? Well said. Worth saying again. If you don't learn, you can't change. And if you aren't changing, what's the point here? Friends, I think we can all agree that life is richer and more rewarding when you learn new skills, take on new endeavors, keep growing. Ever since I was young, I've wanted to learn to fly. I've never had the time or the money. That may be about to change. But you've got to learn and you've got to change. And if you're not changing, what's the point here? If you're not getting out of your comfort zone, we mentioned that earlier. What's the point here? If you're not educating yourself to a new endeavor, what's the point here? I get some emails from folks that say, I'd really like to invest in real estate, but then they'll go on and they'll say just how complicated real estate investment is, and they feel like it's such a large endeavor to invest in real estate. And that's absolutely 180 degrees away from the truth. What we do is very simple. It's very easy. It doesn't take a lot of time. But if you're looking at that, if you're comparing, okay, buying a single family home, rehabbing a home, getting a resident in the home, and then moving on to the second home, if your comparison table is buying the single family property versus just having 15% deducted from my W-2 paycheck each month, yeah, what we're doing is a little more complicated than that. I'll give you that if you're going to stand the two up and compare the two. But I'll tell you, one is so much more dynamic, so much more life-changing, so much more fun, and will bless you in a much greater way. And, oh, by the way, when done right, is a safer investment. So if you're comparing those two, but I'll throw another one out there. So you want to compare the mindless that are pulling 20% out of your paycheck to go to your retirement fund. You want to compare that to passive income investing. Passive income is the easiest thing in the world. Analyze the deal, do a little bit of reading, stay involved, subscribe to the deal, write a check, and then you're done. You're done. You send that check to the lead investor. You've done your homework. That lead investor purchases the business, the apartment community, fixes that business, makes that a better business, and they reward you with a check quarterly. That's way easier, friends. And oh, by the way, when depreciated, tax-free for the most part. Many of the checks I have are 100% tax-free because of the depreciation. That may change as you're in a deal for a longer period of time. I just don't want to give you a blatant, it's all tax-free. Most of it's tax-free, 100% in the early years, but usually when those distributions get to where they create a taxable event, you probably have other write-offs and other K-1s that are offsetting that to begin with. So not a blanket approach, but keep in mind the income is, for the most part, tax-free. Here's another inspirational quote. The rich know how to control their spending urges. That's why they're rich. Well, rich is a big word. You can define that in a lot of different ways, what really makes somebody rich, but not to necessarily go into that. I think rich means different for many of us. Some people think $1 million is a lot of money. Other people would say, no, you need to have probably $10 million to make it a lot of money. And I bet if you asked somebody that was worth $10 million, they'd say, no, you need to have $50 million. So all things are relative in that regard. But controlling your spending urges is nothing more than discipline. Nothing more than discipline. In real estate, we talk about this all the time. You have an asset. You get a ton of equity in the asset. You refinance that asset. Do you spend that money? Let's say you got $100,000 back in a refinance. No, you go put it back into more real estate. Discipline 101. The rich know how to control their spending urges. What they're really saying is rich people buy streams of income. Streams of income. That's what you do. That's where the discipline comes in. That's the controlling your spending urge. You have that money sitting there and, you want to get a new car, you want to get a boat, or you want to go take that fancy vacation. No. $100,000 really looks like anywhere from a 4 to possibly 8% cash on cash return, depending on the deal. $100,000 looks like $4,000. $100,000 looks like $6,000. Cash flow. That's what you're living on. You'll get the 100 back later on in a big way, but then the discipline, put it back in, grow that snowball. Well, friends, I hope each of you took something away from the show today. If nothing else, do something today your future self will thank you for. I want to remind you, it's not the money, it's the lifestyle. Make it a great day, and we'll see you next week.
The Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a professional regarding your personal investment needs. Nothing presented on the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show constitutes an endorsement, recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or security.